Well, hello everybody. This is Tim W. Leathertachi 1996, and welcome to the, I think, 16th episode of Godzilla Effects or something. I can't remember. No, 17th. I think this is episode 17. Here, sorry, I'm losing count. Sorry about that, folks. But here we go. This week we have Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah from the year 1991. Now, this movie, okay, it is cool that they reinvented the King Ghidorah. And also, they reinvented Godzilla in a very interesting way. Like, this movie is complete sci-fi, complete science fiction, but on a different level. It's not like in way back in season 1 in the OG franchise where you've got aliens coming down trying to take over the world. No, not this time. No, not this time. The thing about this movie, it's just like how Professor Hulk said it in it's just like how Professor Hulk said it in Avengers Endgame. Time travel. Literally, this whole movie is involved. The whole entire thing with this movie is time travel, and at the same time, the thing about this movie is that this whole movie it's not only another sequel. It's not only a sequel to Godzilla vs. Biollante. But it's also one big origin story for not only King Ghidorah, but also the big guy himself. Yes, we actually get to see Godzilla's origins in this movie. And I gotta tell you, he's got one crazy origin story. And also, I know I don't talk about plot. in this series. Well, okay, I say that, and then there are some points where I do talk about plot and what happens in a scene so you can understand what the special effect is, what special effects go on, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so I will be talking about, so for this one is a special case, I will be mentioning the time traveling points so you can understand the movie for those of you who have not seen it. And I am going to give my recommendation, like, right now. I do recommend this movie to not only Godzilla fans, but to people who love movies involving time travel and science fiction films. Because this movie delves heavily into that genre. And I'm sorry the poster does not have text on it. This was the biggest poster I can find on Google Images. The one that has the names on it, I couldn't get it because it was too small. And here we go. This is the first point in the time traveling thing. This is the new monster in the Godzilla franchise, Godzillasaurus. And the thing with this creature is, this was Godzilla before Godzilla got nuked back in 1954, with the atomic bomb. And there's actually like there's an effects con that I have with this creature. The special effects with him are amazing. I mean, the suit is very well detailed, very reptilian. It has a very reptile look, and Godzilla looks like a tyrannosaur. He really does. He looks like a tyrannosaurid, except he's got 4 fingers. Yeah, it's very, I don't know, the miniature set that it walks through with this forest, it looks great. And this is during World War II, by the way. So, the first effects comment I have with this movie is, there's this character named M11 who's basically an android, it's like TOHO is trying to do a non-violent Terminator, or semi-violent Terminator. The only thing, the flaw that I have with him, this is my first effects flaw with this film, effects con, sorry, is M11 scenes, he could have been done way better, because apparently he's supposed to, like, run super, super fast or whatever, and it's like, when he runs, it's like, it looks like he's being dragged. It just looks so weird. Oh my god, when he's running, it just looks so odd. There's, like, way too many uses of green screens, and when he runs super fast, it looks like he's being dragged. Yeah, I really was not... I mean, the character, he was interesting overall, but his running scenes were... Oh my god, I did not like... It just looked weird. Okay, and the flaw that I have with Godzillasaurus is that when he stomps on some soldiers, which are the United States, when he stomps on them, they look... It was the green screens that it don't even look like his feet are even touching the ground when he stomps on the American soldiers. So it's like, they could have used an animatronic foot to do it. They could have just used that and it would have worked better, in all honesty. But now this is the first point. People go back in time to get rid of Godzillasaurus, and they go to, which is going to be Godzilla. This is in the year 1944. Now I know this is a special case. I'll be talking about the time traveling points in this movie. So it's like our main characters go back to the year 1944 to watch the... Oh, we got these cute little guys. I'll talk about these guys in a second. So, because they're part of the time travel thing here. These new tiny little future monsters called Dorats. And look at the design. Look at from the neck down and look at the wings here. Pay attention to that little detail. So, anyways, back to what I was saying. The main characters, they go back in time to the year 1944, and they just watch Godzillasaurus get shot up by the United States Navy, and apparently it does Gamera's roar. Gamera's roar. Oh my god, it's like, wow. But apparently there was a point in the Japanese film industry when Gamera's roar suddenly became public domain, and I guess Toho took advantage of that. Anyway, so yeah, I say that for a third time here. They go back in time to get rid of the dinosaur, right? So they can erase Godzilla from history to basically save Japan. But then one of the people who's from the future, the year 2204, who went along with them, lets these little things... There's 3 of these cute little guys. They're called Dorats, and they were puppets, and the puppets look very Jim Henson-ish. They really do. They look like something out of a Jim Henson movie. And the woman who's from the future lets these 3 little guys out on the island. So they got rid of Godzilla and put him in the Bering Sea, which is between Alaska and Russia. And so they got rid of Godzilla. So he's gone from history. So 1984 didn't happen. Godzilla vs. Violante didn't happen. So they altered the timeline. They altered that little timeline. So then the woman from the future lets these 3 little guys, lets the 3 Dorats stay on the island. So instead of Godzilla being exposed to the atomic bomb testing in the year 1954, these 3 little guys get exposed to the bomb testing. And here in a little bit, you will see the new creature that was the result of that. So instead of Godzilla, like I said, instead of Godzilla becoming exposed to the heavy amount of radiation from the 1954 H-bomb testing, well, you'll have to wait until the next screenshot comes up. The Dorats, look at these things. For puppets, it is actually kind of cute. Look at it. Seriously, if that thing was real, wouldn't you want to hold one? Look at this thing. It's actually so cute. Well, anyways, instead of the Godzilla becoming exposed to the 1954 H-bomb test, like I said, it's the Dorats, and they all merge into King Ghidorah. So yeah, King Ghidorah's new origin is that he's not an alien. He's created by people from the future. So he's an artificial monster this time around. Very interesting storyline. So it's like, in the whole World War II setting, we see Godzilla and Ghidorah's new origin in one scene, which is actually pretty awesome. So King Ghidorah, apparently, as this movie states, has been around since the year 1954, and God knows where he's been since then. And here comes the year 1991, and he just shows up and starts destroying everything. But we gotta remember, Godzilla's still buried in the ocean. He's still buried in the ocean. And I love Ghidorah's new look. He's got a lot more detailing on his neck, on his necks. He's got a lot. I love the detail that they have on each of his necks and his heads. You know, there's no hair on it. Thank God. He looks more dragon-like. I love how much more this very nasty dragon-like that they give him. I really do like that. And you know, he's still the same Ghidorah, and his wings are a lot bigger. But I do have there's what do you call my third effects flaw with Ghidorah is with Ghidorah here. As much as I love him, as much as I love him in this movie, there is a point where you can actually see the wires holding him up at one point in the movie, and it's where he goes and fights Godzilla, but is where, well, I just spoiled that little part. Sorry. Yeah, well, screw it. I'm gonna keep talking about it since I spoiled that. I didn't mean to. Well, actually, no. I'll wait till that screenshot comes up. And then I'll go more in depth about it. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to go off mental script here. I didn't mean to do that. Anyways, and Ghidorah. Well, I do like Ghidorah's new roar. Actually, it doesn't sound all like. I can't even describe that other roar. I like his new roar like a lot better here, and just everything about this new version of '90s Ghidorah I love better than the 1960s and '70s one. I don't know. It just this suit just looks way better. It does. It looks so much better. Like truly, like this this new look for Ghidorah is so. I don't know. They just put a lot more time and effort. Oh my god. Oh, here we go. Now, when Ghidorah destroys the city, you got the '90s CGI just in the screenshot, like the gravity beams, and oh my god, in this movie they returned Ghidorah to the overpowered every time he blows something up. It just wow. It's like it's so reminiscent of Ghidorah's debut, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. When he shoots at stuff just blows up, and oh man. There's so many explosions in this movie, and that's what makes the effects in this movie so awesome, is that Ghidorah's gravity beams, when he shoots at everything, are so overpowered. It's so reminiscent, like I said, it's very reminiscent of Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, how every time he blows stuff up with the gravity beams, it's just super explosions everywhere. Like seriously, it's just wow. I mean, yeah. Did I mention there's explosions in this movie? Huh, I didn't. Well, there's a lot of explosions in this movie. It's just like I don't know. It's just I ain't got much else to say about Ghidorah here. It's just like great destruction scenes with him, and the suit looks really well detailed. I really love his new suit. And oh, one thing I do gotta mention. Actually, there is one good piece of effects work that the '90s films with '90s Godzilla movies are starting to do here. Is that they have like actual scenes of people running in the streets and cars driving in the background. So it's like they have an actual shot with people on the street, and then with CGI they green screen Ghidorah in the background destroying the city. Like it actually blends well, and a lot of films in the second Godzilla franchise do a lot of scenes with that, but those are for separate videos later down the line, and because we're only on this movie here. So yeah, the scenes with Ghidorah in the background, you can tell he was CGI, green screen, composite shot in there, with shots of actual people running in the street. I mean, it is very flawless. There's nothing wrong with those shots. It looks really good. It actually looks really good. So you remember what I said about the timeline, about how this movie altered the timeline? They get rid of the dinosaur, they get rid of Godzillasaurus, send him to the Bering Sea, let the Dorats out, so instead of Big Guy here getting exposed to the 1954 H-bomb test, it's Ghidorah. But apparently Godzilla is inevitable. He is an inevitable creature at this point. No matter if you try to get rid of him, he's gonna show up anyway. Because this Godzilla is a fresh and new. This Godzilla is new. Like, this is apparently in this time now in the timeline. This is the very, very first Godzilla in history. This is the very first Godzilla because, like I said, remember what I said? They got rid of the dinosaur. Now King Ghidorah is the 1954 monster instead of Godzilla. But apparently, the Godzillasaurus that was buried in the ocean, they come up with all the human characters. The government comes up with the idea to blast the dinosaur with some radiation, with some radioactivity, to turn it into Godzilla to fight Ghidorah. Well, what happens is, apparently in the Bering Sea there is a nuclear submarine that was mysteriously sunk, and all the radiation off of that thing turned it into Godzilla. So Godzilla was unavoidable anyways. And then Godzilla comes up and sinks another nuclear submarine to feed off of the nuclear fuel reserves that the submarine had. So Godzilla gets created anyway. But this Godzilla, this is a fresh and new Godzilla. So this is not the same Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Biollante, from Godzilla 1984, from Godzilla 1954. This is not the same one, apparently. This is a fresh and new guy. So he's actually, they say he's a lot bigger. They say Godzilla is a lot larger than he was in Biollante, because of the fact that he was created by modern weapons this time around. So here we have a fresh new one, but when you look at the design of the suit, it's the one from the last movie, clearly. And I really do like how they reinvented Godzilla. I love that they did that, because it's something different to do with. It's like a nice creative new take. It's like a nice little creative new plot for the big guy. So Godzilla comes up after doing that. So, and I know I keep explaining the time traveling thing because it's easy. It's really easy to understand. It's really not all that confusing. So I'll say it again. Like, they went back to World War II, got rid of Godzillasaurus, erased Godzilla from history, then the future woman let the three little Dorats on the island so they can become exposed to the 1954 atomic bomb testing and become King Ghidorah. Then two nuclear submarines go missing and create a new Godzilla with that dinosaur. So Godzilla comes back, right? Then now he fights now here he is when he comes on land over this hill. And and I know I don't talk about music so much, but they play the original Godzilla theme, except they slow it down, which is really cool. I love hearing it slowed down. Anyways, and the sound effect, it's the same with Godzilla's roar. It's the same sound effects from Godzilla vs. Biollante, but his foot stomps. They have his new foot stomps when his feet hit the ground, and it's the same sound effects from with Godzillasaurus, which is really odd. And I just love this really pissed off look they're giving him now. I don't know, it's just like, he looks more aggressive. And once again, Ken Satsuma is who's in the Godzilla suit again, once again. And once again, I love his performance. Like, I don't know, like, he doesn't play Godzilla as, doesn't play him as aggressive, like an aggressive animal, like he did in Biollante. He plays him more like the 1954 Godzilla. And what I mean by that is, he plays Godzilla like the icon, like the walking nuclear bomb. and it's like he just walks around the city and he walks around destroying stuff. Like seriously, he plays the way Godzilla, the way he acts is kind of reminiscent of the 1954 OG film, but also he well, in the next screenshot I'll get to that, and this is where I'll go more in depth with my third effects review. No, effects con. Sorry. Yeah, once the next screenshot comes up. But once again, like I said, this is the same suit from Biollante. Like, it's got really good detailing on it. I don't know, this Godzilla suit just looks amazing. I really do love the Heisei era suit. It looks really cool. Makes him look fearsome, a little more aggressive, and if you look at the way his nose is shaped, doesn't he look like a cat? Seriously, look at his nose. Doesn't he not look like a cat? I'm dead serious. Look at that nose. And here we go. This is where I was saying, this is during the first battle, when the people from the future send GHIDORAH to kill Godzilla, as they call it. And here we go. This is where I was saying my third effects con with GHIDORAH is that when he lands on the ground, ready to fight Godzilla, you can actually see the wires that were holding him up. And it's so weird when Godzilla fires his atomic breath. It's not an effects con, but I just found it very interesting. I mean, yeah, you can tell it's 1990s CG, so you can't say nothing about it. But remember back from 1954 to Godzilla vs. Biollante, whenever Godzilla, when he fires his atomic breath, it's pretty straightforward. In this movie, when Godzilla fires his atomic breath does not go, straight forward towards his target. It starts moving all over the place. And GHIDORAH's gravity beams do the same thing. It just looks so weird, though. It looks cool, but at the same time, it just looks really weird how it's Godzilla's atomic breath just goes all over the place when he shoots. I don't know, it just looks really weird that it just moves all over when he fires. But the first monster battle is really good. And it's like you cheer for Godzilla for this fight. You start cheering for him even though he's technically the bad guy again. And at the beginning, the way this movie actually started out was in the year 2204 when they find King Ghidorah's frozen body in the ocean, and the middle head was missing. And when you see that, you start wondering, how'd the middle head get loose? Well, then they answer the question. They said, the people in the little future submarine, they say, oh, it lost the middle head when it fought Godzilla the 20th century. But you still sit there and wonder, how did he lose that head? How do you lose his middle head? Well, apparently they clearly show it. Godzilla cuts it off. Godzilla shoots his atomic breath at the middle head, and the middle head just comes flying off, and it's like, okay, alright. Well, where'd the head go? Where'd the middle head go? And Godzilla just whoops Ghidorah's ass. I mean, yeah, there is a good effect when Ghidorah, strangles Godzilla, and Godzilla starts foaming at the mouth. And then Godzilla has this thing where it's like he gets this big energy pulse and it pushes Ghidorah off of him. It's a very cool effect, actually. I call it the nuclear blast. I call it the nuclear pulse, not blast. Sorry, nuclear blast is for a separate video, way down the line. And Godzilla does a good callback actually in this first fight. He does a really good callback to the OG franchise, where he lifts his enemy up by the tail and then he slams him back to the ground. He does that to Ghidorah right here in this movie. I guess it's it's a really fun little bit to watch because he does it for 2.5 minutes straight, almost 3 minutes actually. And I don't know whether they did this as a nice little callback to the original franchise, or they just wanted to show off how much stronger Godzilla is in this movie compared to the last movie. But yeah, Godzilla just whoops Ghidorah's ass, despite Ghidorah being bigger than he is in this movie. So, the first monster battle, it's really cool to watch. And actually, I'll talk about my fourth effects con with this film. It's not with, once again, it's not with the monsters again. This one's not with the monsters again. This one is with the people. This movie it's such a 90s movie. It's like using CGI and a lot of sparks and explosion special effects and the use of 90s CGI. And also there's the heavy use of green screens. There's one scene where one of the girl from the future girl I called her a little bit ago, her name is Emmy. There's one point where apparently there's this future tech where if you wear this helmet and this special backpack or something, you can fly through the air for a little bit. The technology is really odd, where it's like you put this helmet on and this backpack and you can just fly to where you want to go. And there's a point where Emmy leaves the time machine, but the future people call it the mothership, and it really looks like a UFO. It really does. And you can tell she was in front of a green screen when they did this, but it could have been done. I can't believe I couldn't get a screenshot of this. It could have been done so much better, and she looks like a cardboard cutout. She looks like a cardboard cutout in front of the green screen. It could have been done so much better. In all perfect to God honesty, they could have done so much better with it. Like, seriously, it just was not a fan. I was not a fan of that scene, like, at all. It's just like, she looks so flat in front of that green screen. Just did not look like three-dimensional. It just didn't, I was just not a fan of that. So, here we go. After Godzilla defeats King Ghidorah, and then apparently this is another point in the timeline of this movie, because when Godzilla's destroying the city, when Godzilla's wiping cities out from existence, and also in this scene here, you got the laser, you got the laser tanks from Biollante. They're back in this too, and the lasers coming out of them the CGI for them looks way better than in Biollante. And also, oh my god, I'm so sorry about that. If you heard that, oh god, I'm so sorry. Anyways, when Godzilla shoots his atomic breath at everything, it's really overpowered. Godzilla just blows everything up in sight. And also, this is another point in the timeline, because while this is happening, they explain that they do explain that in the year 2204, Japan no longer exists. Like, Japan is nothing but a wasteland of atomic radiation and nuclear Japan's gone at this point, and it's all because of Godzilla. Like, Godzilla wiped out Japan from existence because of their, as one character puts it, vain prosperity and lack of concern about nuclear waste and all that other mess. So, that's the whole thing with this movie. So it's like, I'm gonna explain the timeline again with this movie. So, went back in time to get rid of the Godzillasaurus, right? To wipe out Godzilla from history. They released the Dorats, their Emmy releases the Dorats on the island, so in 1954 the Dorats can merge and become King Ghidorah in the year 1954, right? So they recreate Godzilla. So while in the ocean, the Godzillasaurus destroys 2 nuclear submarines and it becomes Godzilla again. But then, so they wanted Godzilla to come back to defeat King Ghidorah. Well, he kills King Ghidorah, he beats the crap out of him, and sends him sinking to the bottom of the ocean. And now Godzilla is the one that wipes Japan from existence. And he basically caused the apocalypse of Japan. Like, seriously, it's just so crazy that when you really look at it, it's like, yeah, Godzilla's basically a walking nuke. he can he can destroy an entire city, and there's nothing the modern man can do to even stop him. And there's even one human character actually says in this movie, "Oh yeah, we're no match at all for Godzilla." Oh, you think? Okay, and also, and here, this is towards the end of the movie. Now this shot here, this is where like he's still destroying everything, and the miniature sets in this movie are really good. It's like in the screenshot before this, the miniature sets are super good. They're really well detailed, and what's so funny is once again there's the Shinjuku district, and the buildings are taller than Godzilla. Once again, just like in 1984, and actually in Osaka from Biollante. Sorry. Anyways. And what's so funny is you can tell where most of the budget. I was just thinking about this while I was recording the slideshow here. You can tell where most of this budget went to. You can tell where most of the budget for a lot of these movies go to. They go towards the the miniature sets and the suit making. And the special effects. Anyways. And the miniature set's getting destroyed. It looks really cool. It looks super, super cool. I really do love the destruction scenes. And also, there is a scene. Okay, remember way back. Remember hard. Remember way, way back in episode 4 of this of season 1 in Mothra vs. Godzilla. Remember when I said that they're about the Mothra egg incubator? When the main corporate douchebag said that they wanted to build an incubator for Mothra's egg out of glass, and when Godzilla destroys it, it looks like plastic and it doesn't even sound like glass. Well, in this movie, when Godzilla stomps through glass, it sounds like glass this time. Like seriously, it's like, oh, finally, because when you look at the shot, it looks a little plasticish, but it looks like it at first, but then when Godzilla stomps through it, they actually make it sound like it's glass. And actually, I think it was glass, but at first sight it kind of looked like it, but the more you looked at the scene, it's like, oh yeah, that was glass. So yeah, like it actually looks like glass this time. It looks and sounds like glass. I'm sorry, I had to point that out. I had to. I really had to. I actually had to point that little bit out. But anyways, Godzilla just stomping through the city, and I love like when Godzilla stomps through Tokyo here. It's when his feet hit the ground. It's the same sound effect from Godzilla vs. Biollante. Yeah, I know. It took me a little bit to realize that. So. Then there's one more. Okay, and here is the newest and final monster in this movie, Mecha King Ghidorah. And this is another part of the plot thing. Now, so remember when I said earlier that in the year 2204, Godzilla wiped Japan from existence, right? Godzilla caused the apocalypse of Japan here. Well, Emmy comes up with the idea. Well, actually. Emmy comes up with the idea, and the human characters in 1991, they come up with the idea to resurrect Ghidorah to fight Godzilla. And they're saying, and as you can tell, the middle head that was cut off is now a robot head, which I really do like. Mecha King Ghidorah's look with the metal wings and the metal torso. Okay, I guess. I ain't got much to say about the torso, but I love the wings and I love the middle head. I really do like the design of the middle head. It looks super cool with the glowing green eyes, and the gravity beam is looks like it's multicolored, which looks cool. And so to save Japan, on both sides of history, the humans come up with the idea to resurrect Ghidorah to fight Godzilla to save Japan. So it's like, okay. So basically and the final monster battle is really cool. Godzilla gets his ass handed to him. He really does. he gets knocked into buildings, and buildings start crumbling and everything. But of course, he Godzilla shoots at Mecha King Ghidorah most of that fight. Like, literally, they just shoot at both of these monsters just shoot at each other. And actually, it's Emmy who's controlling Mecha King Ghidorah. Well, the middle head anyways, the other two heads, since they're organic, you know, they act on their own, partially. But anyways, like the final monster battle, it's super cool to watch, and there's just explosions and buildings crumbling, and both monsters are just shooting at each other. You know, so yeah, that's the whole time travel plot with this movie. It's like, okay. And for those of you who did not catch it during this entire video, because yes, I'm sorry if I sound like I'm going all over the place. Anyways, Alex, here's the whole time travel plot now that we're at the very end of this, now that we're at the very end of the movie. So, here it is. They go back in time to get rid of erase Godzilla from history by teleporting a very mortally wounded Godzilla source to the Bering Sea, Emmy releases the Dorats to become exposed to the radiation from the H-bomb test in 1954 to become King Ghidorah. So instead of Godzilla becoming the terror from 1954, it's King Ghidorah. But then 2 nuclear submarines go missing in the Bering Sea. Well, there you go. So Godzilla comes back. They need him to fight Ghidorah. But after that fight with King Ghidorah, Godzilla basically caused the nuclear apocalypse of Japan and basically wiped Japan from existence. Alright. So, are you following me so far? So, good. Anyways, so then they come up with the idea to save Japan from becoming from its apocalypse by sending King Ghidorah back to the year 1991. Well, the movie says 1992, but I really don't believe that. Anyways, they send Ghidorah back to the year 1991 to get rid of Godzilla and save Japan. There you go. That's the entire save Japan from the apocalypse. There you go. That's the entire time travel timeline that they have in this movie. And there's this really cool moment I gotta mention with Godzilla. It's very sad, actually. It's a very sad, depressing moment, and then at the end you're like shocked. I mean, remember when I said in Godzilla vs. Biollante there's this scene where they could have had character building with him that they cut from the movie? Well, this movie, they actually do some character building for Godzilla. They give him this character trait where he comes across, where Godzilla has eye contact with this guy with this Japan like government worker, this guy who works with the Japanese government. He was a veteran in World War II, and he was one of the few people who actually saw Godzillasaurus face to face. And he remembers Godzilla here as the dinosaur that saved him. So there's this one very sad point in the movie where Godzilla and his name was Shindo, actually, the human character's name. They have this touching moment where it's like they remember each other from World War II, where Godzilla remembers Shindo saluting to him as a savior from the American Navy, from the American troops, and during World War II, and Godzilla saw him, just laying there. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't mean to go back to the Mecha Ghidorah shot. Sorry about that, folks. And they have this touching moment. Then Godzilla, he just can't take it anymore, and he shoots Shindo. He kills him. Oh, nobody ever got it that bad. Literally, he took a nuclear blast right to his face, and oh my god, it was a touching scene, but then Godzilla just kills the poor guy. Oh my god, it's a shocking bit at the end. Oh, and then there's this other crazy bit where Godzilla actually kills like 2 other people from atomic breath. Like the UFO, actually, I gotta talk about this. One last good effects con. Oh, and then there's that one last effects con that I really gotta talk about was the little jet that the time travelers use. When it shoots out of the ocean, it was green screened in there. at the end of the movie, before it goes back to the future, before Emmy goes back to the future, they could have just done a little miniature version of it, like they did with Super X and Super X2 and Godzilla vs. Biollante. They could have just used a little miniature version to come out of the water instead of this green screen thing. Oh god, it just, like I said, this movie's such a it's such a 1990s movie. Anyways, yeah, and one last effects pro I gotta talk about, to get rid of the people from the future, or at least the two male characters who are just dickheads. They teleport their ship right in front of Godzilla, and Godzilla shoots them. He shoots them to blow up the ship, so it's like, okay, you got rid of the dickhead characters. It was actually a cool way to get rid of them. It really was. Teleport them right in front of Godzilla, and Godzilla just shoots at him. Anyways, I'm giving Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah, with the green screen effects that were a little like, I'm giving this movie a 7.5 out of 10 for me. And please subscribe to not only this channel, but to the Movie Reviews Library, because Brendan will make, my buddy Magus Dragon, he made the logo at the beginning of this video, so subscribe to him, Movie Reviews Library, and me. Links will be in the description below. So peace out, everybody. Peace out, everybody, and I will see you next week with the next Godzilla film in the franchise. All right. See you all next week.